Orlando.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
The voice of massive Magic fans.
Welcome back to another episode of the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Episode lucky number 13. What's going on, boys?
What's happening?
What's going on, yo?
So in the studio today, Al,
What's up?
Justin,
Yo.
Mark,
What's going on,
and
fellas?
myself, Anthony. And this week we have so much to talk about, right? Trade deadline is right around the corner. We just getting back from our West Coast road trip. Some highs and some lows. But before we jump into it, let's get into the OZone. All right. So obviously these last couple games, the games have been on like super late. We're talking about games starting at 10:30. We're watching until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Losing sleep over these games.
Losing sleep. And then for me, I work early in the morning, so I'm not, especially after that Laker game, I didn't go to sleep till about maybe 2:30 and 3 just because there's so many viral things happening. A lot of people still talking about the Magic. That was a tough night. But during the games, what are some of the things that you guys like eating, snacking on during the game? Like, is there like a lucky snack that you go to?
I could do some popcorn.
Popcorn,
And then traditional popcorn, butter popcorn, or I definitely love eating chips and salsa.
chips and salsa, so
Spicy salsa with some
popcorn, chips and salsa.
Yeah.
Butter or no butter?
butter, of course, and then I probably throw the cheddar, the cheddar powder on it just to make it a little, give it
They
a
sell
little.
cheddar powder for popcorn.
Yeah, like when you go to the movie theater. I can't talk to them.
At the movie theater, I just didn't know that you could buy that cheddar like powder at the store. That's cool.
I think Publix sells it. Maybe
I think so. Public
Logo.
shout out.
That's actually where I got it at.
For me, it's probably like chips and guacamole. It's either that or like the spicy nacho Doritos. Those spicy nacho Doritos are
Fresh guac or pre-made guac?
bro. We make everything in my house. Fresh guac.
Okay.
We got the cilantro, the lime, the onion. Man,
you had to roll your R for that one.
cilantro. What about you, Al?
It's gotta be chips, any kind of chips. My favorite one lately has been pita chips with buffalo chicken dip from Publix. That has been like my go-to thing lately.
We got a healthy chip
Damn.
with a moderate kind of salsa.
You gotta balance it. You gotta balance it.
You guys love going to Publix for all of your goods, huh?
If we need some sponsorship,
Publix Bakery too, man.
Here we go.
There's really nothing better than after a back-to-back game, winning the first one, obviously, and getting the 50% off Papa John's pizza for the game.
I thought the question was a snack.
That's my snack.
And has the better answer out of all of us.
That's how Anthony does.
Like, how many slices can you eat where it's like considered a snack? Is one slice considered a snack?
two.
So you buy a Papa John's pizza, you eat one slice.
Yeah, I eat it once every time out.
With the garlic sauce.
With the garlic sauce.
Yeah, the garlic sauce.
Now,
takes
if
it
it's
over the
thin
top.
crust, that's a snack.
There you
The
go.
box
See?
is a snack.
No.
For me, it's a snack.
That's true.
Wait, so I have my snack size pizza, right, with the side of popcorn and chips and salsa.
What?
It's not bad.
Snack sides.
That's a hell of a.
I've never seen that. Like, I might not understand what the word snack means after
Wait,
this.
time out. Are we playing like the Super Bowl? Are we like...
But you know what? You bring up a really good point though. I need to limit my pizza size for my snacks during the game.
Yeah, like Totino pizza rolls. That's a
Oh,
snack.
there you go. That is a snack.
A Papa John's pie is not a snack.
Unless you eat a whole entire box, and it's not a snack.
That's a good point.
But
I'm guilty of that.
One slice is considered. It's considered a snack, especially if you're right. If it's like the flat pizza and you cut up in squares and
Yeah, that's
you have
a
one
snack.
square.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't judge me on what I consider snack size. All right, but so we have our snacks, but what are some game rituals? Is there like anything that you have to have with you while you watch the game?
I gotta have Magic Twitter shut off. No, I'm just kidding. I love Magic Twitter.
But is it because there's just so much like negativity around Evan Fournier? Is that why you shut it off?
Yeah, but also I initially I started listening or having it on while I was watching the games, but I realized that whenever I was on Twitter while watching the games, it kind of dictated how I looked at the game more so than how the game was actually being played out. So I just made it a ritual to not really look at Twitter until the game is over.
I find it hard to multitask because I feel like the times I've tried to be active during the game, I end up missing like a play and I have to rewind it, and then it just kind of messes up with the flow.
Damn,
of the game
you have
for
the
me.
luxury of DVR. We don't
man,
have that
I'll
at
give
my
you-
house.
I'll give you a tip.
Hulu Live.
What you gotta do is go on Twitter. That's what I do. Timeout and halftime. That's
there
it.
you go.
So that way
That's-
you're still
that's good.
engaged with the.
That's good
with the
Twitter
fans.
advice.
There you go. I don't really have one that I can think of, but if I had to choose one, it would just be, like I just said, I've been trying to get away from having either Instagram or Twitter dictate how I look at the game or what players are doing well or not. So I've been trying to stay away from social media. In past years, I would be nonstop on social media, watching the games, replying to comments, adding my own thoughts. So I don't really have one that I personally do. For playoff games, though, I'll be decked out with Magic gear. I'll wear a hat, my shirt, my jerseys. Usually go to a bar with some friends, watch a game, but regular season games.
No, if it's the playoffs, I go to my pop's house. He's wearing his Magic stuff. I'm wearing mine.
Yeah.
You know, just super excited, spending it with family. We're all Magic fans, so it works.
So the way my living room is set up, I got my TV and I got two lamps, one on the left, one on the right, and I have hue lights, so I'm able to adjust the color of the lights. So every single Magic game I have like the blue light, so it kind of gives me the Orlando Magic vibe all around in there.
But wait, time out. Not orange for the Ozone podcast to be there
So
with you. In
no.
spirit?
So when we wear orange, I put in orange.
Look at
So
that.
he has hue lights. He got DVR. This
Adjusting
guy's
to the
just-
theme.
He lives.
It's $100. Like, the lights weren't that expensive.
I think it was worth the buy though.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not. I found that it's not lucky because, you know, it's
Doesn't really work.
especially for this road trip.
Yeah.
I love to have an ice cold drink watching a game and just snacking on something. For me, it's not really a out of the ordinary ritual, but just snacking and just drinking something cold. Honestly,
So nobody does anything like for luck.
I used
no
to have-
rabbit's foot, no
So I-
mismatched socks.
No, but I used to own Magic socks. I still own them, but I would wear them during the games. But you know, we would lose, so I stopped wearing them.
No, my dog has. I got a 1-year-old English bulldog, and his ritual is swallowing my Orlando Magic socks. So none of my Orlando Magic socks match because there's always that missing. So I unintentionally wear unmatched socks during the games. But let's jump into the numbers. So current record, we are 20-23, so 3 games shy of 500. See in the East, we are currently 7th offensively, points per game, 103.7, which has us 30th in the league. 3-point percentage, 33.3, puts us at 27th. Offensive rating, 104.9, which has us at 26th. And then when we talk about what we're really actually good at, points allowed, 104.4. Defensively, has us in first. Blocks, we're averaging 6 blocks a game, which has us 5th. Defensive rating, 105.9, which holds us at 7th in the league. Now, looking into the weekend review, on Monday we played against the Sacramento Kings. This was a win, 114-112. This was a game that the Magic pulled off, a thrilling win thanks to a late basket by Aaron Gordon, who secured the win for us. Magic were led by Vucevic with 26 points and 15 rebounds, and Fournier scored 25. Gordon added 19 points. So this was a game that, we really came strong offensively, scoring over 100, and then we had a lot of players that contributed. Wednesday, we played against the Los Angeles Lakers. This one was a feel-good win.
Yes.
119-118, which we really won more by a point. That was just a at-the-end win by or added points by Quinn Cook, kind of 3 at the end. But we really won, I would like to say, a lot more than that, but 3-4 points. But anyways, without a doubt, by far the best win of the season. This was a really enjoyable game for me. The Magic, when you consider the different type of circumstances that the Magic had in terms of challenges, Markelle Fultz played his by far best game of the season, getting a triple-double. In the process, finishing the game, he had 21 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, including the last 4 points in the game to secure the win. So he really took the ball in his hands and kind of sealed the win for us. This was a game full of highlights. The Magic were everywhere virally, not just from Markelle Fultz, but also from Gordon. He had 2 really major top 10 Sports Center type plays.
Sick dunks.
Really good contributions from BJ Johnson. And if you remember, this was a game that Coach Cliff said in the beginning that it's going to be a point guard by committee because this game DJ Augustine was out, and MCW was out and whatnot.
And Fournier was out as well.
And Fournier was out. Yep. Thursday, we played against the Los Angeles Clippers. Lost. This was our back-to-back in LA, 122-95.
Not so good.
Not so good. You know, what's crazy is I can't remember the last time that we played a back-to-back in the same arena. That kind of stood out to me, the fact that we played against the Lakers.
You would think that would be an
and the
advantage,
Clippers.
right? You don't have to travel anywhere.
You
Just
would think.
stay in the same
thought so
hotel
too,
room.
for sure. But this was a game that we got our butts kicked straight up. Vucevic led the way with 22 points and 9 rebounds, and Gordon added 20 points. But this was like from beginning to end, the Clippers just tore us up.
Dominated us.
And this was without Paul George. This was Kawhi Leonard and the rest of the Clippers. Saturday, we played against Golden State. This was last night. Lost 109-95. This was a game that MCW was activated, as well as Evan Fournier. But the Magic started the game with a 12-0 lead straight out of the jump, but they couldn't hold on to it and had to play catch-up the majority of the game from there. The Magic found a way to come back and take a 1-point lead with 4 minutes left in the game, but it was a disaster from there. Warriors took control of the game, and D'Lo helped put it away. Tough loss considering how well we had been playing during the West Coast road trip. The good, Mark Hill had another really strong performance with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and including a really, really sick facial dunk.
Nasty dunk.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
Another
Yes.
Sports Center moment. So I guess you can kind of, at the very least, the Magic were going to be put in the media because we had a lot of highlights and a lot of different things that did go virally. But what are some of the things that stood out to you? What did you like? What didn't you like?
So for me, that Lakers game was, man, that was one of the best games I've seen the Magic play since I've watched the Magic. Coincidentally, Fournier didn't
Not
play.
coincidentally.
DJ
That was the reason.
DJ didn't play. The ball movement was insane. The pace was insane. Markel showed, a glimpse of what a future with Markel as our starting point guard could be. He was unstoppable, man. His movement, his agility is insane. His court vision was on full display. It was a really, really great game. Also, I feel like we lost to the Clippers because that game against the Lakers was so emotional.
It was, yeah.
And it was exhausting. Markel got that game winner for us, right? Where he kind of like faked out LeBron and came under with the layup, and running back half court fell over. And I was like, oh my God, please tell me Markel's not injured. And it was a cramp.
Yeah.
But that was reflective of, how hard they had to fight for that win. And it was great to see, just because the Magic, one of the criticisms is that they're not a team that necessarily fights as hard as they could all the time. And they put everything out on there for that win. It was beautiful to see.
Yeah, that Lakers game was everything for me. We all know Mark Hill's had a few games where he's kind of stood out. I believe that game was his statement game. Why? Because everybody, Twitter exploded. ESPN was talking about this guy. T-Mac was talking about him. About, wow, this guy is for real. This guy's back. Philly gave him up too early. That was his statement game. That was more like, all right, guys, this is my opportunity. This was I showed you guys. I'm not going anywhere. He silenced a lot of the haters.
Yeah,
for me.
that was the game that afterwards when Markel was being interviewed. That's when the Aaron Gordon, DJ Augustine, I think it was Wesley Wando, Mo Bamba, that they took some water and they kind of threw it over him. And he had mentioned to a reporter that he was going to take the jersey that he wore and hang it up, and he was really proud of his performance of the game. So I thought that was a really big.
No, he deserved it.
I mean, like you guys said, that Lakers game was everything that week. Unfortunately, for me, I'm kind of looking at it on the negative side. So that game was everything. We all talked about it. Like Anthony said, I couldn't go to sleep until like 2 a.m. that day. Like I was so excited, tweeting and doing things. But the biggest thing for me was the Kings game. I think that was crucial that we won that game. We could have easily have only won the Lakers game, and that's it in this road trip. The Kings fought hard. They almost stole that win from us. We found a way to win that game thanks to Aaron Gordon, even though that play didn't look very drawn up the way he ended up playing out.
It's typical Magic, though.
Yeah, him getting that basket at the end was crucial. And unfortunately, the game against the Warriors. I mean, for me, I don't care. It happened. It kind of washed off the win against the Lakers, in my opinion.
Right.
I agree. Yeah.
I expected us to have a 500 record in this road trip. If we beat Charlotte on Monday, tomorrow, we'll be able to actually be at 500. So the way things played out, it's the way I expected it.
And this road trip could have been a lot better, you know.
Oh, my
If we
God.
would have beat Phoenix, the teams we were supposed to beat, we would have beat Phoenix. We would have been Warriors, beat Warriors. I mean, this road trip would have been nice. We got the road trip finale, Hornets. That's
Yeah.
another winnable game, but these are
is.
these type of games that Magic just decide to lose.
Yeah, I think
Unfortunately.
down the stretch, the Magic. When I watched because there was a point during the Lakers game where the Lakers fought back, right? What is it? Quinn Cook hit a massive three.
God. Him and
Troy
all-
Daniels.
And,
Troy Daniels.
yes, and I was
Lit
like,
us
oh
up.
my God, we played so well the whole game. We lost leads, but we built the leads back up. And when I saw that, I was like, man, the Lakers are gonna take this one. But I do have to shout out Aaron Gordon. Not to talk your ear off about that Lakers game, but Aaron Gordon was phenomenal defensively.
He was.
He did a great
Offensively,
job.
his awareness was spot on. He just played really well that game.
This past week has to be by far the most Orlando Magic results ever, right? Because you look at a win against Sacramento. That was a game winner by Aaron Gordon. You have
With the assist, the game-winning assist by Evan Fournier. I'm just saying, you have to paint the full
man.
picture. You have to paint the full
so
picture.
we'll add that in the asterisk.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You got a win against the Lakers that, I mean, collectively we can agree that was a surprise, right?
Yes.
You also have a loss against the Clippers, which is what I was expecting. And then a loss against Golden State, who didn't have Draymond Green, and they were led by D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Poole.
And after that, the loss against the Phoenix Suns.
And then a
which
loss
we
against
had
the
that
Phoenix
game,
Suns.
and then we blew it.
So it goes back to there's sometimes that I listen to the media and what they have to say about the Magic, and the fan in me wants to be like, man, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't watch the Magic, and then the realist of me says, yeah, man, they're spot on. Maybe we are the most mediocre team in the NBA. Maybe we are destined to be the 7th seed. And for me, it highlighted the fact that changes need to be made. I think that there were reports from Steve Kyler that we talked about. We touched on last podcast that the front office were going to take a look at this road trip and then make their decision, right, based on that, whether or not they should blow it up. And I think that this highlighted exactly the pros and the cons. And I honestly think that Evan Fournier is in the middle of that. I know, Justin, you're not going to like it, but
Let's go.
we really notice the difference, and you can really tell. You remove Nikola Vucevic from the roster, and we move a lot faster, right? You remove a player like Evan Fournier, and the ball moves a lot faster. There's way more team ball. And I think we can all agree on that Lakers game, man, if we can play at least, and granted, it's a very small sample size, but if we can play that level of basketball where Aaron Gordon is way more aggressive, Aaron Gordon isn't necessarily staying off to settling to the jump
Played in the
shots in
lane
the
that
corner.
game.
Markelle Fultz is kind of leading the offense in terms of who gets the ball, putting people in the right position. I think you have a way more entertaining basketball to where, because at the end of the day, if we're a 7th seed team, then okay. If we're playing at our best and we're going out there and we're forcing people to respect us, then that is a team that I'm proud of. Right now, it's that's not the case.
So two things about what you said.
Right? Do not bring up Evan Fournier
No.
first. If it's two things,
He's eventually
don't let it
gonna
be the
get there.
first.
So two things. The whole argument that the Magic are mediocre in every statistical category that you can mention,
Except defense.
except defensive categories, of course, is a valid argument. But I think that's what makes us dangerous, right? Because while we are average, when you take a team that is traditionally average, right, and they come in at a 7th seed, and you play someone who's not necessarily as dominant as the Bucks, right? So say you play the Heat or Philly or Boston, I think that mediocre aspect of us makes us a threat because it allows us to play up to our competition. So we do have, if you're average, that means 25% of the time you play above average, 25% of the time you play below average, but 50% of the time you're at the baseline, right? So I think that makes us a threat in the playoffs, not necessarily title contenders, but where we could upset, a higher seed in the first round. That's the first thing. Second thing, with the whole Evan Fournier argument, I agree with you. I do agree that when Evan is on the court, the ball moves slower. When Vooch is on the court, the pace of the team is slower. But during that Lakers game, for example, we saw that when Markel has the ball in his hands and he can control the pace, he's really good, right? And he makes those around him that much better. He kind of negates a lot of, for example, Aaron Gordon's weaknesses, right? And I think the same could be said for Evan. I think if the front office and the coaching staff had a conversation with Evan and explained, Markel is our primary ball handler now, right? You're not going to bring the ball up the court. You're not going to over dribble. Markel's going to worry about putting you in those positions to play well. I think Evan could still benefit this team because he is a scorer. That is Evan's, like his best trait. So I think allowing Markel to handle the ball more often and just put him in places to score where he can catch and shoot more like a Terrence Ross role, I think Evan could.
Doesn't
could
it
still
worry you
benefit this
that
team.
Coach Clifford maybe hasn't noticed that yet? That Markel should be the guy being the primary ball
Does
handler?
he notice it? You have to imagine that he does.
You have to question it.
You know what I think the
have to.
issue is? It's the way that the offense was drawn up all through training camp, the offseason, and we all saw what Fournier looked like with France, right? And FIBA Fournier, we called it, right? It was him running the pick and roll time and time again with
Rudy Gobert?
Rudy Gobert, right? So you would think that would translate to the NBA. And that's kind of what the Magic kind of started doing this season is let's put Fournier in a pick and roll scenario. The only issue that I have with that is that it's always with Vucevic. I feel like if that pick and roll is ran with Aaron Gordon instead, it'll be more successful because Gordon can cut to the basket faster. There could be an alley-oop opportunity. And Fournier can be, Vucevic can be on the other side getting open for a three-point shot, let's say. Right. But that offense just becomes stagnant when you do that time and time and time again. And when the Magic are not doing well, your listeners can do the same thing. Watch for it. When the Magic are starting to lose leads, when the Magic are not playing well, that is our go-to offense. It's give it to Fournier and run a pick and roll. The thing is, nothing's going to happen. The defense knows what's coming. It's going to be go to Vooch or some random four shot. That's my concern. And again, to me, it should be give it to Fultz, give it to someone else that can run the offense better. Have Fournier, have Ross in the corners, Vooch as well.
And that falls on coach.
But do you think that because Markel is just now taken off, right? Things will change. Markel kind of had to prove that number one, he could be a primary
He's your
scoring
point
option.
guard at the end of the day.
Right, but you're not going to give the ball. You're not going to take the ball from a guy who's been a consistent scorer for you and give it to a guy who hasn't proven himself yet and is playing 22 minutes a game.
Let me ask this. Can anyone in this room realize the last time that Fournier, as a ball handler, succeeded in the NBA? Back to when he was first drafted. When was he successful being the ball handler?
We've never been successful with them in Fournier.
When has he been successful? When has Fournier been, a leader, an offense starter, leading the offense?
Wait, so Evan didn't do that the first 20 games of the season?
I wouldn't think that he created the offense, though. He was him making shots, and that's different. Any NBA player, in my opinion, can get hot for 10 games, 20 games, and be, James Harden-like if they're on a hot streak.
Our players pay better when the balls and faults.
But I'm talking about just Fournier's career. Like, let's really take a look at the last 7 years of Fournier's career. When has he been successful leading the offense?
I feel like, to be fair, he's never had to, because as much as we want to hate on, for example, Elfrid Payton, right? Elfrid Payton still ran the offense.
Yep.
DJ Augustine still ran the offense.
Yep.
So during his time in Orlando, he's never had to be that guy. With DJ Augustine being injured, with the injuries that happened to this team, and Markel Fultz not, if you want to call it arriving, Markel having not arrived yet, it made Evan have to be that option. I don't want to say he was a terrible playmaker or creator for others, because I think his playmaking ability and his scoring ability kept us afloat when we probably should have lost more games than we did lose.
Yeah. So that's my point. Is that's where a coach's job should be. It's like, hey, this guy's been in the NBA 7 seasons. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he cannot initiate offense. Maybe he can, but he shouldn't be your primary go-to when the team is struggling.
Right, but who else would have done the job?
Markel just won us 2 games in the last month,
right,
by himself. Actually, 3. Go back to December against the Wizards at home, where he had the ball in his hands and either a basket happened a foul happened or he found the open shooter.
But the season started in October.
No, that's fine. But I'm saying since he started being trusted with the ball, Markel at the beginning was not trusted with the ball late in the game. It was always in Fournier's hand and Gordon's hand. Since we said, hey, Fultz, go out there and run the offense. The one thing I will say about Fultz, or one mistake he made once against Phoenix, where he went to the basket, chose to pass it back. But that will happen. But one mistake, he's won us 3 games like single-handedly. He made one mistake. That's 3 in 1 chances. I'll take those odds any day. So that's my issue. It's not Fournier. It's our coaching staff not realizing we're using a guy incorrectly. Same with Gordon. One has Gordon being a playmaker.
Same with Gordon, yeah.
No, he's not. It's utilize those guys to their potential. We're not doing that right now.
So how hard does that make the decision for the front office? I feel like the general census was in the beginning of the season is we need to trade Evan Fournier. Then it turned into Aaron Gordon isn't a fit. And then Aaron Gordon wins the game for us in Sacramento. He comes out and balls out against the Lakers. And now it kind of feels like it's turning into, okay, maybe it's not Aaron Gordon. Maybe Markelle Fultz and Aaron Gordon could work without Evan Fournier. And now it's kind of back to wanting to move and trade Evan Fournier.
So to answer your question, I feel like they're both an issue depending who's on the court. If you notice, Gordon has been playing better lately since Isaac went down. But when Isaac was with the team, Gordon was not looking like this.
You see, I agree with you, but then I simultaneously disagree because I feel like the issue is us. I feel like as fans and as people who watch the game, we're the issue because we're prisoners of the moment. We don't fully analyze someone's career or someone's season. We go based on what's happening in the moment, right? Because the narrative for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season was Aaron Gordon's offense was supposed to catch up to his defense. That hasn't happened. Aaron Gordon has to go. And like you said, he has a game-winning shot in Sacramento. He balls out in L.A. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, AG's not the problem. AG could score. Evan was balling out of his mind when the season started, right?
Well,
Evan is not the problem. Evan could be an all-star, right? All of a sudden, Evan has a couple bad games. Oh, he's not dropping 20 anymore. He's not dropping 22. Oh, he sucks now. So I think if we analyze these players' games effectively, we would see that, yeah, Aaron Gordon balled out for 2-3 games this road trip. But overall, what has his career been?
Not only that, but what he did last night: 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists.
Yeah, so I think there has to be a level of realism, right, and like you have to be pragmatic when you look at these things. There's certain players that play well under certain circumstances. Nothing in the NBA is forever, and that's why the GMs in the front office have some of the hardest jobs that there are to do because you have to determine what is long-term, what is not long-term. Is he going to produce for us long-term? Is he a fan favorite? You have to balance all of these questions and make a decision in regards to that. And you saw, like, Victor Oladipo, right? We made the wrong call on him. Tobias Harris, we made the wrong call. Is that because we were prisoners of the moment? Is that because we were desperate? Is that because the fan base wanted it? Like, there's so many different factors that play into these decisions being made. It's difficult to decide.
But I will say one thing, and you guys can all give your opinion on this. Can we agree that, like we've been saying, the 3 amigos, that's got to be split up? That Fournier, Vooch, Gordon.
If we're thinking about our young players' potential, if you're thinking about Isaac's potential, if you're thinking about Fultz's potential, if you're thinking about is Fournier's, role on this team going to affect Fultz long-term ahead? Is Jonathan Isaac playing next to Gordon? Is that going to affect his growth? Because when Gordon was down a little bit, Jonathan Isaac was balling out his mind.
Yep.
I think the expectations have changed so much within the last 5 years. We've tried the Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon, Vucevic for so long that we just now started seeing the fruits of it last season. Making the playoffs was such a big deal. Nikola Vucevic being an all-star was such a big deal. And it's like we changed from us thinking draft lottery to, oh, we can actually make the playoffs. Oh, we beat Toronto in the first game in Toronto. Wow, we can actually do damage in the playoffs. So now it's kind of, we were all expecting in the beginning of the season that, okay, we're a lot better team than the 7th seed. We should be more of a 5th, 6th seed. So our expectations of the team is so much higher now because we're not at the bottom level of the East. We're actually a team that can compete. So do you make the decision of, okay, let's split up the 3 and take the risk of not being as good, or do we still continue to do the exact same thing, getting the exact same results?
You see, so the argument that I just made about the
Prisoner in the moment.
the prisoner, of the moment is something that I'm guilty of too. Because right now, what I'm thinking is, Markelle Fultz is emerging. Right, he's playing better. He's taking command of the offense. We have not seen these three guys play on a team with an elite level point guard, right? And I'm not saying Markelle is elite yet, but he has the skill set that could make him an elite point guard. We would all agree on that, right?
Yep.
So is it early? Is it early? Do we have to make those trades? Do we ride out the season with the team we have? Let's see how Markelle can balance these three guys on in a starting lineup. I mean, it's possible. What I will say is that with a elite level point guard, right, with air quotes, because again, he's not elite yet, but with an elite level point guard, you can make magic, no pun intended. You can make magic out of lineups. So it'll be interesting to see.
A trade has to happen. I'm not saying a big trade. I'm not saying blow it up, but some change needs to happen.
Why?
Stagnation. I believe that in some level there has to be a change. New blood needs to be incorporated. I'm not talking Markelle Fultz. I'm not talking about, and granted, a lot of this could stem from the fact that we are struggling because of our injuries. It could really be just that, because we did incorporate a lot of new players. Aminu, Fultz, the Jonathan Isaac playing the level that he's playing, where he's commanding the ball a little bit more than he did last season. And this team really didn't get the opportunity to really gel the way they wanted to. Coach Clifford was still in the beginning really struggling. He still is struggling with the rotation.
Yeah.
And we didn't have MCW for a big portion. We're just now getting him back. So I do believe that a change is necessary. I just don't know really the direction. There's no say of what direction the front office can go, because there's so many possibilities and so many options. But let's get into the juice. So Magic recently just made some roster changes. So last week we had spoke that Josh Majehi just signed a 10-day contract with the Magic. We waive Josh Majet so that we can sign Gary Clark from Houston, who was just recently waived. Gary Clark, ironically, also wears number 12. Now, our injury bug still continues. DJ Augustine is out due to his knee injury, who will be reevaluated in about 3 to 4 weeks. So we had a couple games that we were point guard by committee. MCW returns from injury, playing last night against the Warriors, who is now playing the position that we originally signed him for, to back up our primary point guard. So he's not playing the wing, he's backing up the point guard. How do you guys feel about the roster changes?
So I feel good. I feel good. What I've seen from Gary Clark initially has been impressive. To be with the team for a day, go through one practice and a shoot around in the morning, and come out and drop double figures. You know, it's something that was impressive to me. His effort was good. Like I was letting you guys know before we started recording, he's not the most athletic guy, the most agile guy. But he gets the job done. And I think that's something that, the Magic need. We see that in MCW. MCW is not the highest caliber point guard, but his effort is there, his hustle is there, and it makes up for, that lack of athleticism or agility. So I'm excited. I'm excited about those moves.
He was active, and he was not afraid to sling it.
Yeah.
He went in the game and just
First shot was a three-pointer.
Absolutely
Crazy.
And it's funny because I was reading an article from Mike D'Antoni, and he said it himself that not that he was disappointed in losing Gary, but he really liked him as a player.
Right.
And he understands that the front office, they have to make certain moves. And, he said that it is Gary that, was on the team, but they didn't want to lose him. And it's funny because CP3 also went on social media and he was rooting for Gary. So he is a player that was really liked by his teammates, really liked by his coach. And it makes sense that the Magic wanted to take advantage of getting a player that can contribute. And he really showed that he was able to do that, not only to a new team, but doing it to a new team that's playing on one of the biggest stages in the NBA in LA against LeBron and Staples Center.
And honestly, in Houston, outside of Russ, James, and PJ, is anybody really getting playing time? right? Austin Rivers. There's no room for anyone else to play on that team.
Yeah,
So,
and for Houston, it was strictly a money move. They wanted to save on luxury tax, so that's why
Right.
they cut him. We're glad to have him. I don't know about you guys, but he reminds me a little bit of Aminu. He has the length, the arms are long. He shoots the three. He plays good defense.
Hustles.
So it kind of
I
reminds
think
me of
Aminu's
him.
a little more agile than Gary Clark for sure.
Yeah.
And I think we haven't really seen plays where Gary Clark gets out in the open court.
Yeah.
But Aminu, in my opinion, is a little more athletic.
Yeah.
But I do see some of those similar
Yeah, he
traits.
blocks shots, rebounds
He had
well.
a few rebounds at the end of the fourth quarter.
did.
That was I thought it was big time for us to grab.
But
and
from
he got
this
those.
week's news, I mean, the biggest thing for me, as we all know, is TJ Augustine going down now for 3 to 4 weeks at least. That hurts, man.
I don't think we
mean,
expected that.
Not that I don't mind him playing because against MCW, I trust him running the backup point guard position, but just offense. We already are bad as it is in offense. We need 3-point shooting. Losing him is tough. And we have some tough games coming up over the next couple of weeks before the deadline. And also, we're about to talk about trades in a few minutes, but think about the value he had. And he's an expiring contract too. We could have flipped him for something decent. Now this gets in the way of that too. As we're about to talk about trades in a few minutes here, but it hurts. It hurts the team in many aspects, on the court and potentially thinking about longer term.
Let's talk trade. Early in the week, I submitted something on Instagram, Orlando Magic HQ, for questions to come in regards to the trade deadline. And we received a lot of entries, so we're going to go over a couple of them. Very first one. This comes from Bo_Semi Oglu. With Jonathan Isaac being out for the rest of the season, does that ensure that AG will not be traded?
Yes.
No.
I don't think so. I think still it's fair game
Mark,
for
I see you
everyone
thinking. Mark, talk to me.
except the main ones.
So we got 2 no's and 1 yes. What do you think?
Yes, we're already weak
Damn, we're
at the
tied.
forward position. We can't afford to lose another forward.
That's the thing. If we had a Minu
With a
ready to
trade.
go, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be more
if,
easy to pull
And if we
that trigger.
trade for another forward,
We don't need one though. We need a guard. Because then if we have another forward come in, what does Isaac play next year?
forward,
We have 20 forwards. That's the issue. That's what you would only trade Gordon.
Jonathan Isaac plays at 3.
And we all
Gordon
seen
plays
Isaac
really
play
though.
with Gordon out, man.
Not really though.
I say Isaac flourishes once Gordon's out.
oh,
as
for
well.
sure.
Yeah. I agree.
So that
I
trade
think
needs to happen soon.
So you agree or disagree?
no, I agree with Mark that
Yeah.
that JI thrives when AG's not there.
He's proven that.
So I think that there will be a trade. I think AG will be moved
By February?
Yeah, I think the better AG plays, like for example,
LA.
the Lakers game, the win against Sacramento, the more exposure he has in the national like realm of things, the
Value
more
ticks
likely it
up.
is he gets traded. I speak, so a lot of my family and friends live in Brooklyn, right? And I talk to them about basketball, and all of them say the same thing. Oh, you guys got Aaron Gordon. And I'm like, they came to visit. We were at a restaurant. I was like, you can have Aaron Gordon. They were like, are you crazy? Aaron Gordon is so athletic, so talented. So the more exposure he has, because people go based on highlights, the more exposure he
Showtime.
has, the more likely it is, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that he gets traded.
The only thing with that is, again, we have nobody to play the 4 spot. And I think, my personal opinion is, if you trade Gordon, it would be to open up the doors for Isaac to play the 4 position and to really just take over that role.
Gary Clark.
Okay. That's a backup. I'm okay with that. But we know we're making the playoffs. I don't think nobody thinks that we're not making the playoffs this year. That's a lockdown unless some collapse happens here in the last 39 games. So my thing is, it was setting up to be a point where Gordon was going to be gone this year. But once Isaac went down with that injury, all that went away.
Less likely to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it so good that the Magic do focus on versatile players that you can really plug in. Not that we want to, but you can plug in Aaron Gordon at the 3 or 4. He's obviously a better 4.
But isn't that what they've been doing?
They have been. But Jonathan Isaac, same thing. We play him at the 3, but he can't play the 4, right? So do I think that we should trade AG? I don't think that we should trade AG. Is he still on the table even with Jonathan Isaac being out? I believe so, because he is. If you look at the pool of assets that we have to really make a big move and a big splash, you're more likely to get more in return for Aaron Gordon than you would with Evan Fournier.
True.
So I have a question. What about and this is kind of what I thought was going to happen earlier in the season, and it hasn't. What if we play Mo at the 4 and Birch at the 5? I know it sounds crazy initially, right? Because you think of Mo Bamba, you think of his length and his size, and Mo moves better than Birch does. Mo can shoot the 3 better than Birch does. Birch is more physical than Mo, grabs down rebounds at a pretty good clip, right? So, in my opinion, I think, and obviously Mo's height is going to be beneficial at the 4, but his size is going to be a problem, like his weight, because we saw, for example, AG lock down LeBron, right? And lock down in loose terms because LeBron's still going to give you 20 points even on a good night, right? But I genuinely feel like if Mo Bamba put on a little more weight, he'd just be a really tall 4. I don't think he has the assets to play the 5 in the NBA. It's too physical. And Birch embraces the physicality of the 5 spot. So if we traded AG, I'd be comfortable. We would have a scoring option in Mo because he's proven he could shoot it, right? And he would play a less physical he would play with a less physical defender on him.
I agree with that. Playing Bamba at the 4, I'm not opposed to that idea at all. It's like you said, he's able to shoot. He's less physical. Keep him away from the paint. Give him some time, maybe play at the 4 position for another year or two. And if he gains weight and if he's less scared of the physicality in the NBA, then move him to the 5. That's not a bad idea, Justin. I actually like that.
We tried that last year
Not even gonna
in
lie.
spurts, but then again, I don't know why Clifford went away from it. Especially now that we're so short, we don't have the players right now to play the 4 spot. Why not try that? Put Vooch and him together, Birch and him together. Give it a try. We haven't seen it so far, but
Or it also depends on who you trade for. So this next one comes from Bend, a Magic fan on Instagram. This one's interesting. I don't know if this would necessarily work through the trade machine because I haven't plugged it in, but the idea of it is interesting. So Evan and a first for Andrew Wiggins. So
That's
this is interesting because let's say that's not Evan. Let's say that's Aaron Gordon, right? You would have Jonathan Isaac play the 4 and then Andrew Wiggins play the 3.
Yeah.
If you really think about Andrew Wiggins, he is a Magic type player. Good character, can handle the ball, he can score. You can really put him, I'm not sure if he has, but I can see him as a player that you can put 2 through 4. He's
Pretty
really
much, yeah.
he's a really big player,
Yeah.
has length. What do you think?
I'm not with it. Ever since he came out of high school, came out of college, there was too much hype surrounded up.
He was expected to be the next LeBron
the
James.
second
Yeah.
coming, right? He's not an efficient player to me.
He is this season.
This season, he's playing better, you know.
reminds
I've
me of-
always said Zach LaVine was a better player than him.
oh yeah, he reminds me of Harrison Barnes, like the same type of body build.
Harrison Barnes.
But just
Yeah.
a more athletic version of him, you know?
Yeah, and I guess he scores a little better, but I'm saying in the sense that he disappears on the court. Like he has a talent.
He's going to have a game where he drops 23, 24, but then he's going to have a game where he's quiet.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's going to score 5, 6
So
points.
I plugged it into the trade machine while you guys were talking just to see. So Evan and a first won't get us Andrew Wiggins. There's too much money differential there. He's getting paid $27.5 million a year.
And is he worth bringing in for that?
And but what I found was, so if you do, for example, Evan and a first, and you add DJ, who's an expiring contract, so Minnesota might be interested in that because it relieves them, of
He's
some
got rid
type
of
of
Jeff
money.
Teague, too.
You could get Andrew Wiggins. So we'd get Andrew Wiggins. They get Evan, DJ, and a first. Is the price too high? Andrew Wiggins right now is averaging 22.6 points per game, about a block per game, 4 assists. I mean, 6, 8 rebounds.
He's also 6'8", 24 years old with a 7-foot wingspan.
Man,
Orlando Magic are
20,
all
he's
over that.
24 years old.
and I feel it's crazy that he's 24. And the same situation with Aaron Gordon, because there's this narrative about Andrew Wiggins, right? And that is going to deter a lot of teams from maybe pursuing him because the narrative is that, like you said, he fades away. He's not one of those guys who can kind of take over.
Or maybe some guys just need a change of scenery, too, if you think about
Yeah.
it.
He is a player that would benefit from a change of scenery.
Yeah.
And you put him around players like Jonathan Isaac, Markel Fultz, that, I mean, just from an outsider kind of look like as if they're in the same realm in headspace where they're still trying to figure everything out
Young
more so
guys,
than
yeah.
a player that's really outspoken and is kind of a baby in essence in Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not a Karl Anthony Towns fan by any sense of the word, not even by a little bit. And you can tell that his frustrations could fall under Andrew because Andrew Wiggins, his downfall is that it's been said that he doesn't have really that type of motor. That he's
drive.
Killer,
he's
yeah.
lazy in sense. And could that be the case?
Would you be more inclined to trade AG,
Yes.
a first, and DJ for Andrew Wiggins and maintain
As you guys
Evan
are
in
talking, I'm
Orlando?
thinking of that. It makes more sense because
And it
now
works.
Isaac comes back next year. Now, what do you do with all those big bodies? Again, we're
Yeah.
stuck. So if you trade AG instead, now that clears out the deck completely. Now you have Vooch, Isaac, Wiggins, Fournier still
and
Here,
Markelle.
and Markelle.
That's a
24
nice
years old. He
fits the timeline with
fits
J.I.
the
and Markelle,
timeline.
too.
He hasn't even touched his prime. Since you have it up, Justin, what is Andrew Wiggins' contract?
So he's looking at $27.5 million a year for 4 years.
Now, is he worth that?
That's really the
That's
only
maybe the
question,
downside,
because that
maybe.
is a lot of money.
But that's, put in perspective, that
But-
is about $12 million less than D'Lo makes. Just as a comparison of contracts. So
So the real question is, in regards to this scenario, is he worth? One, is he worth that type of money? And two, if he's not worth that type of money, what player is out there that could produce offensively, fits the criteria? So a player that you think could gel well with the team that you would pay that money.
I
for.
would take it. Honestly, I would take it. I think that he would fit this offense. He's another young athletic guy who can run, who's going to benefit our pace. He could shoot it. He could, he has decent handles enough to definitely create his own shot. He's athletic as hell. He's agile. That's
the
that's
trade
a guy I would
trade
do. I would
proposal
take.
is DJ Augustine, first round pick, Aaron Gordon for Andrew Wiggins. Then you have a lineup of Markelle Fultz, Evan Fournier, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Isaac, and Nikola Vucevic.
it's not a bad line.
Is that team a team that could push us in the 4 to 6 round?
Yes, I think so.
If you insert, instead of Wiggins, you put Zach LaVine in there. Put a guy like Zach LaVine.
I'm not really like, I like Zach LaVine if we're not paying crazy money for him, right? He would replace the contract of an Aaron Gordon. But is he a player that I think can propel this team to? Because the ultimate goal isn't to be 4 and 6. The ultimate goal is to be a top team in the East
Right.
and be able to really fight down the stretch in the playoffs.
I think
Is
with
he a
Andrew
player that can
Wiggins,
do that?
we could definitely make a push. Honestly, because I think his offense. Think about it. Aaron Gordon right now, and we could look at the exact numbers, but Andrew Wiggins is averaging what I said,
20.
22 points, 22 and a half points per game right now. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump.
And you know why I think that it might interest Minnesota? The fact that DJ Augustine's contract is expiring, so they get a little more cap flexibility. Aaron Gordon is still a player that can contribute. He's already played with a big center that can score offensively. Not saying that, Vooch is anything like Karl Anthony Towns, but they're comparable in their own regards in terms of a type of player. So in a future first, that sounds like something that if I'm a Minnesota fan, I would at least be intrigued for it. It sounds like something that would sound like a fair trade.
For
They don't even have a
comparison,
point guard right now either. They just got rid of Jeff Teague. So
That's a good point.
throwing DJ in there is actually intriguing on their part as well.
and also just for comparison purposes, 22 and a half points. Andrew Wiggins, AG is averaging 13.4 points.
Because I don't see Golden State wanting to make that move for D'Angelo Russell. Why would they want Andrew Wiggins on that team?
Right.
I think so. Same thing as
I think that he would fit better than D'Angelo Russell because you have a true 3 in there with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, and he is a passive player that would allow a player like obviously the Steph and the Clays to kind of do their thing, and then he's okay with the third role. I think that's probably the biggest issue, that he's okay with not being the guy.
Exactly.
But I think
that's
that's
the
another
thing.
reason why he would benefit Orlando.
It depends because because you would imagine that by you paying someone that amount of money that you want them to be
number 2 or number 1 option.
Yeah.
Somebody that has a Jimmy Butler state of mind. Ain't nobody better than me. Give me the ball. I'm going to handle this. Right? And he doesn't have that type of personality. Unless you get that personality from a Markelle Fultz.
But he's also mild-mannered, which fits, right, the characteristic that the front office looks for. And realistically, if I'm paying 25 plus million and you're going to be a guy that's going to give me 23, 24, 25 points per game, I don't care. I don't care if you have superstar quality. I don't care if you command attention when you walk into a room. Let that be Markelle.
So
Let that be Jonathan Isaac.
My only thing with that is, so we're forgetting one thing. Fournier is a free agent again, or potentially will be a free agent this summer.
Yeah, and
So
that's going
now-
to limit how much we can offer Evan
Exactly.
for sure.
So now, if you bring a guy like that making $27 million, Vooch making 25, and now all of a sudden, do we still pay Fournier, or do we go and find a cheaper option out there?
Could we? And I don't want to get crazy with all of the trade, craziness. But there was a trade I tried, and we're going to talk about this in a later episode. But where we could package Evan and try to
You created a trade scenario where you willingly included Evan Fournier.
Yeah. I did.
That's improvements. Justin.
super insane, right?
I'm proud of you.
But where we could package Evan and try to lure D-Book away from Phoenix.
Evan and Gordon, or who? What's in the scenario?
I'll look it up.
But Devin Booker is their guy. Like they
their
hold
franchise guy.
They hold Devin Booker at such a high regard that
Phoenix
they would
is so far from winning that it's not even.
They get rid of Booker,
but
they lose all their fans they got.
Yeah.
That's fine. Exactly. And you know what? That's a lot of the NBA teams right now, because if you're not winning games but you're still profitable, why would they be in such a rush to make a change? A team exactly like Phoenix, that they have been playing better with the better coaching staff that they have.
They're a lot better this year.
And ironically, they should be playing a lot better than what they have, because they have Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Ricky Rubio's kind of running the show for them at the guard. Kelly Oubre, who I'm a fan of. I would imagine that Phoenix would want a whole lot for Devin Booker.
Right. So what I had come up with was Aaron Gordon, Evan, a first and a second for Devin Booker and Dario Saric. That's not bad. That's
only
not a
issue
bad
there
trade.
is-
It's bad for Phoenix.
Yeah, the bad thing is,
Is it?
again,
Yeah.
Fournier is not on the contract long term, so they would run the risk of losing Booker and then only keeping out of that Gordon.
Right, but wouldn't it be a possible conversation to have Evan
Maybe.
commit, like a
Being
sign
real-
and trade,
being
sign and trade
realistic,
kind
though,
of situation?
Being realistic, I think they would ask for a guy like Isaac in that scenario, and
Would
would
you-
not even go in there.
Jonathan Isaac for Devin, but I don't know, man.
I mean, Phoenix would want that. That's their star.
Phoenix would want that.
That's what I'm saying. Like they would ask
If
for
they're
that.
giving us their prize, we got to give them one of
Yeah,
our
it's-
prizes.
To me, Jonathan Isaac is a player that is
Got to build around.
Are you? But do you really think that Aaron Gordon wouldn't command interest from the Suns?
No,
He's a guy
Would
who
he? I think so, but
to play with Booker.
to play with Booker, not for Booker, because now you're talking about Devin Booker is the face of their franchise. DeAndre Ayton is not like what they expected him to be.
Yeah,
Correct.
He missed 25 games this season.
Absolutely. But Devin Booker is their face, their marketing, their commercials, their.
So why don't we go after Kelly Oubre instead?
Oh my
I
God.
like,
AG.
I like Kelly.
Dude,
Oubre.
I've wanted Kelly Oubre on this team since he was in
This makes
Washington.
sense. He's a real three, right? So now you would have
Isaac
Isaac
at the
at the four, him at the three, Vucevic potentially. Oh, not Vucevic. Sorry, Fournier potentially at the two. That's offense. That's athleticism. That's defense.
And he brings that dog mentality too.
That's a more realistic trade with Phoenix. Like I see. I mean, I don't know why they would trade him because he's playing so well, but I feel like Gordon's potential, maybe a pick in there.
Has he got
and a
traded?
VJ again?
Has he got paid yet, Oubre?
He just signed this offseason. I don't know for how long.
He's
I mean,
playing. He hasn't probably signed for a nice contract, but he's playing above his contract, whatever he signed this summer. He's playing really
balling.
well. He's balling.
Interesting enough, so I just went into the NBA trade machine, and a trade for Kelly Oubre for Aaron Gordon works.
A straight up swap.
Straight up swap.
Oh my God.
It actually gives us a projected an additional 3 wins.
An additional 3 wins.
Additional 3
Listen,
wins.
if I'm the
Do
Magic,
it.
In a heartbeat.
if I'm the Magic, I add
Do it.
2 picks to that and make that
Just
happen.
make it more sweet.
I like Kelly Oubre.
We don't need
That-
Al has
listen,
a good point. We don't need picks at all.
I'm done with picks.
Just to definitely like force their hand, add 2 picks, a first and a second. AG Kelly Oubre, let's get it done today, right now.
I'm even thinking 2 first round picks.
You get a better
Like,
scorer. You get a better shooter. You get
Right now.
You get a dog. You get a guy who is not much of a drop off on the defensive side from Gordon either. He can play
Yup,
defense.
a guy who's
Again.
active, who's competitive.
who can shoot
I'm
it.
excited.
He's just hungry.
I'm
A
down.
hungry guy.
I'm down.
And he fits
100%.
in with our young core
Guys,
that we have.
I'm going home after this, and I'm making that trade in my NBA 2K my league. Just know that.
Hey, does anybody have John or Jeff's phone number? Let's make a call.
And he's another player that fits in the spectrum of what we look for. Kelly Oubre is 6'7",
Okay.
24 years old,
Okay.
with a 7'3" wingspan.
Ay,
Oh,
Dios
my
mío.
goodness.
Let's do it. I'm down, man.
7'3" wingspan.
And he's a tough guy.
Man,
Yeah,
and
he's tough.
this dude is not afraid to guard the best player. The way that he went after Paul George, the way that he slammed on him, looked at him,
Showboated him right after.
give him the tough flex and the head nod. The way that he blocked Terrence Ross from the corner with that corner 3 that he
Yeah.
had and just stared at, like he's the type of player that the Magic don't have.
Yeah.
The only person that comes close to the amount of passion that dude has
Evan
is
Fournier.
And sometimes in the middle of a game, heat of the moment, battling back and forth, you need that type of personality, that kind of Draymond Green. You don't like the player if he's on the
Yeah.
other team, but you like him if he's on your
yeah.
team.
Man.
You need to have that type of player, and he is someone that can really bring that. And he's averaging 22 points?
18 points.
18 points a
18
game.
points a game, yeah.
He's a scoring. He
Listen.
can shoot from the 3. He can
shoot
take
great.
it in.
I'll tell
he
you
can jump
this.
off. He's athletic.
I'll tell you this. We talked about other trades and other speculation. I don't even want to hear about D'Lo because D'Lo is unattainable realistically. Kelly Oubre is a dude we could get who's gonna help us win now.
And you don't have to make a lot of moves.
And he's young enough to where he's gonna continue to develop with these guys.
Yeah.
Man, I'm 100% in.
I don't understand why the Wizards let him go.
Now, my only concern is he's only in a 2-year contract for $15 million each, so 30 total. At the end of that contract, is he an unrestricted free agent? Because if he is,
He's going to demand a big contract.
we're going to have to pay now Isaac, Fultz.
But you were planning on paying a player like Evan Fournier that amount of money.
So
But then
what
he'll-
you're saying? Sign Kelly, let Evan walk.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you sign Kelly and then you figure out Evan Fournier afterwards after you get a player like Kelly.
No, but Kelly's a free agent. yeah, but Kelly's a free agent after Evan. So you have to lock up Evan this year.
You got listen. Here's the thing.
Man.
Here's the thing about basketball and the NBA, right? Is that you have an opportunity to convince these players that Orlando is a spot. Markelle would have never selected Orlando. Would have never came to Orlando. Not once, not even thought about it if he didn't already play for this team.
That's right.
So you come into the organization. You have players that you like being around. The front office that we have, they really do care about their players because they're putting them in the right position that, hey, we're not going to force you to do anything. You take your time. You do this. You do that. And players like that. And the fact that you're in Florida where the weather's nice, you don't get into trouble.
No state tax.
No state tax. Did I mention that the
Latinos.
weather's nice?
The weather's yeah. But man, like, that's my only concern though. In that trade, I would love that trade. Love it, love it, love it. But my only concern is the money will be an issue.
You figure
So
that
he would
out
be
later on.
in 2021, the
That's the same
offseason
year.
of 2021. He would be an unrestricted free agent.
And we have Markelle, Isaac coming to the same offseason. So that's the only thing.
So, do you think that after Aaron Gordon finishes his contract, that he'd want to stay in Orlando another 4?
No, I think he's
so.
going out west.
Absolutely, 100%. I have zero confidence that Aaron Gordon wouldn't leave as an unrestricted.
So this is what I would say, right? So if Kelly Oubre is an unrestricted free agent in 2021, that means that he can pick and choose wherever it is that he's going to go,
Correct.
right? What if we pull him away from Phoenix, have him here, give Evan his contract, right? Have that year as a trial year for Evan. If he fits, because he's going to be 27, 28 at that time, right? If he fits, then we might have a problem. But just because you give a guy money doesn't mean you're stuck with the guy, right? Because if Kelly comes and Kelly's balling out of his mind and he's a better scoring option than Evan, trade Evan. You trade Evan, and then you clear up enough money to still re-sign Markel, J.I.,
Kelly
and
Oubre is the only guy that you're okay with replacing for Evan Fournier. I like that.
No. I'm not saying I'm okay with
Evan
him
Fournier
replacing him. But if the team is in a better place with Kelly, I mean,
But it makes sense too.
yeah. Obviously you want to do that. You want the team to win.
Yeah.
I completely convinced myself away from the Andrew Wiggins. I was on board with Andrew Wiggins until we started talking about Kelly Oubre.
But I think what we can agree then is, through this conversation, is that we need a 3.
Yeah.
So you trade Gordon, a pick or whatever, for a 3. Because again, we know Isaac's coming back, whether it's by the playoffs or next season. But I go back to my same point, guys. I don't think that trade will happen until probably July, because we don't want to kill ourselves, our playoffs hopes right now, unless a team calls and say, "Hey."
But you're not taking such a major risk right now, because in me just talking about that specific scenario, Aaron Gordon isn't going to make or break you going to the playoffs.
No.
It's just, who do we play the 4 then? Like, we have nobody to play the 4 right
J.I.
now.
would play the 4.
No, but I'm talking about right now, this season.
I gave you that Bamba scenario.
So that would be the only concern, right?
That's the thing.
Because we're talking about something completely different if we had Jonathan Isaac healthy.
Exactly.
Could Kelly Oubre play a small ball 4 though?
In the
Would
East,
we
yes.
play-
With his
Would we
wingspan and his height, I think it's possible.
Would he want to is a question.
He's
Probably
flourishing
not.
and playing out the 3 right now.
But he's the type of player right now that, and this is thinking long term, right? Would he want to stay in Orlando afterwards? But you can position the fact that, hey, you would want to stay here if you can turn yourself into that guy.
He signed an extension in Phoenix.
No, he got traded there for Ariza.
Yeah, for the
Oh
Wizards.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah. So
I'm wrong.
it's gonna be tough, man. I love the ideas. Whether it's Wiggins, whether it's Oubre, we need that scoring threat, right? We know that for sure. It's just, if the Gordon is involved, I expect it to be in July. If Fournier is the one that's going to be going, or Augustine, February is still an option.
Really a lot of great trade deadline questions. So I appreciate everyone submitting those. We definitely have a lot of fun talking about the trade. And with the deadline being 2.5 weeks away, definitely stay tuned, because we have some ideas that we're going to start implementing. But let's get into next week. So next week, the games ahead, we have Monday against the Charlotte Hornets, Wednesday versus OKC, Friday versus Boston, and then Sunday against the Clippers.
I like how you said that. Boston. I like
Boston.
Is that going to be our game
Boston.
of the week? Or are we going with Clippers
Yeah,
or
I'm
Boston?
leaning towards Boston being the game of the week.
Yeah, I'm
Boston
down.
game of the week?
I'm down.
So, who do we have?
Man, that's a rough week.
I'll go first. We are super losing against Boston.
We're losing against Boston.
I'm going with the L for Boston.
We're losing against Boston, yeah.
No, I think we beat Boston. Last week, you guys thought I was crazy when I said we beat the Lakers, and
But nobody knew that Fournier was not playing. If you would have told me that, I'm like, hey, we're
I know
winning.
for
We're winning.
as of right
And
now,
nobody
Evan
knew if
Fournier
Davis
is
was gonna
scheduled
play either.
to play.
Davis was questionable for that game, too. Nobody knew.
hey guys, Lakers won. I mean, Magic won. Lakers
Well,
lost.
we got to guard Marcus Smart.
This week is going to be the same situation. We're going to go and play Boston, and we're going to run them out the gym. I feel it.
I hope. I mean, I'm hoping we can,
So we got 3 L's and we got 1 win here.
Boston's those type of games that we beat, that we win.
And we play well at home. I mean, so it'll be a fun game to watch no matter what. But I think Boston's too good right now, man. I mean, Kemba is on the fence of not playing. I know he got hurt recently.
But they still have so many
still.
weapons in Boston that
So
they
many
are
weapons.
really all around really good team.
You know what, though? Tatum hasn't been playing lately. He's been hurt. Brown got hurt recently. So they might not be fully
So are you
healthy.
changing your mind?
No, I'm still not going to change it because
Okay,
I made
Okay, so
I'm not Ariel.
so Al
Don't be
thinks,
an Ariel, man. Don't be an
Al
Ariel.
thinks
Switch your
that
answer.
that it's going to be a L against Boston. Ant thinks an L against Boston. Mark thinks an L against Boston, and
Yeah.
I got a W.
And just so our listeners know, we're all tied 1-1 except Ariel. It's actually 2-0. So Ariel
Ariel's
lost
2-0.
last month.
That's because he's not trying to do any more challenges.
He's 2-0. He predicted a win like you last week against the Lakers. So we have something to play for.
Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. So final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Markel Fultz, last 5 games, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Keep that up.
Yeah, I think I second that. For me, Evan, pass the damn ball. Pass the ball.
Wow, Justin saying that.
I agree with that. Let's get another surprising win this week, even if it's against L.A. Clippers or the Boston Celtics. Let's get another surprising win. We need to win one of those.
Mine's is more off the court. I'm ready to start listening to some news, some Wojnarowski breaking suspicions of who the Magic are going to go after, who we're targeting. Again, our front office is known to be quiet on the hush. I'm just really hoping that whoever conversations that they're having with, that their execs, their agents are the ones speaking up and kind of hearing what the Magic are doing, because I'm tired of the secrecy.
We need some news. I know.
Absolutely. But good episode, guys.
Yes.
That's a wrap for us. Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.
Deuces.
Thank you for listening to the OZone Podcast, the voice of Magic fans.
Be sure to visit our website, theozonepod.com, and remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.